You are not most in danger when you are struggling. You are most in danger when everything feels fine. When your income is steady, when your routine is predictable, when no one is challenging you, when nothing is forcing you to grow. That is the moment decline begins. And, according to Friedrich Nietzsche, comfort is the quietest form of decay. This is purely noetical, where we study power, strategy, and human behavior through the minds of history's most disciplined thinkers. Here, we do not chase motivation, we build mental strength. And today, we examine why stability, the thing most people pray for, can become the thing that weakens them. By the end of this lesson, you will understand why comfort reduces ambition, why long periods of ease weaken discipline, why struggle is necessary for growth, why most people slowly become average without noticing, and how Nietzsche warned us about this long before modern psychology confirmed it. This is philosophical analysis. This is not advice to reject peace, stability, or responsibility. The goal is clarity. We are examining how excessive comfort, when left unchecked, can erode strength and ambition over time. Nietzsche rejected the idea that happiness is life's highest goal. In works such as Thus Spoke Zarathustra and Beyond Good and Evil, he presents a different foundation. Life is driven by what he calls the will to power. This does not mean domination over others. It means expansion, growth, increase in strength, development of character. For Nietzsche, a good life is not a comfortable life. It is a life that grows, and growth requires resistance. Remove resistance, and growth slows. The modern world teaches you to aim for stability, secure income, predictable routine, safe decisions, minimal discomfort. But Nietzsche would ask a harder question. Has your stability made you stronger, or has it made you satisfied? Because satisfaction can quietly replace ambition. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Friedrich Nietzsche introduces a figure he calls the last man. The last man is not a villain in the usual sense. He does not destroy cities or break laws. Instead, he represents a quiet decline in human spirit. He avoids risk whenever possible. He stays away from situations that might bring failure, criticism, or uncertainty. He prefers small, safe pleasures that require little effort. He chooses comfort over challenge, even when challenge could help him grow. He values predictability above all things, because predictability feels safe and controllable. He proudly claims to have invented happiness, believing that a life free from struggle is the highest goal. But what he has really created is a life without growth, without depth, and without the kind of effort that builds strength. The last man does not collapse in a dramatic or tragic way. He does not fail publicly, and he does not experience a sudden downfall. There is no single moment where everything falls apart. Instead, he fades slowly over time. His standards lower little by little, almost without him noticing. The goals he once considered meaningful begin to seem too demanding. His desires become smaller, limited to what is easy and available. His courage weakens through lack of use, like a muscle that is never exercised. Everything in his life is carefully arranged to avoid discomfort. He avoids difficult conversations that might create tension or conflict. He avoids demanding goals that require sacrifice and patience. He avoids environments that test his limits or expose his weaknesses. Stability becomes his highest value, and he organizes his world around keeping things steady and calm. But because stability removes resistance, and resistance is what builds strength, his strength stops increasing. Over time, he becomes satisfied with less, capable of less, and willing to attempt less, all while believing he has found the secret to happiness. This pattern is visible beyond philosophy and abstract thought. It can be observed in everyday life, especially in the modern workplace. Large global workplace studies consistently show that many employees describe themselves as disengaged from their work. Disengagement does not mean open rebellion or loud dissatisfaction. It does not mean people are protesting or refusing to do their jobs. Instead, it often appears quiet and controlled. It means reduced effort. It means doing what is required, completing assigned tasks, meeting minimum expectations, but not expanding beyond There is no extra initiative, no deep involvement, no strong sense of ownership. In many cases, stable income and predictable routine can reduce urgency. When a person knows their paycheck will arrive and their position is secure, the pressure to stretch beyond current ability can weaken. Urgency often fuels effort. It pushes people to learn faster, improve skills, and take calculated risks. When urgency declines, ambition often declines with it. The desire to stand out or grow may slowly shrink. People begin to aim for maintenance rather than improvement. This is not dramatic failure. It does not create headlines. It does not result in sudden collapse. It is quiet stagnation. Performance levels remain acceptable, but growth slows, energy fades gradually, and potential remains unused. History shows a similar pattern on a larger scale, especially in business. Many powerful companies rise during periods of pressure and competition. In their early stages, survival demands innovation. Resources are limited. Competition is intense. Mistakes can be costly. Under these conditions, leaders tend to stay alert. Decisions are sharp and deliberate. Teams experiment, adjust, and refine quickly because they must. Pressure forces creativity and focus. But once dominance becomes stable, urgency often decreases. Market leadership can create a sense of security. Processes become fixed. Structures become more rigid. Studies on corporate longevity show that the average lifespan of major public companies has declined over the past century. Analysts frequently cite failure to adapt as a major cause of decline. Companies that once disrupted their industries struggled to adjust when new technologies or competitors appeared. Stability created rigidity. Comfort reduced experimentation. The willingness to question old methods weakened. When change finally arrived, response was slow and sometimes hesitant. By the time action was taken, faster and more adaptable competitors had already moved ahead. Friedrich Nietzsche would not be surprised by these patterns. He argued that there is no permanent state of arrival, no final point where a person can safely declare that growth is complete. In his view, life is not something you achieve once and then simply maintain. There is only becoming or declining. You are either moving forward, expanding your abilities, and deepening your character, or you are slowly moving backward. There is no neutral position where everything remains fixed. When individuals stop stretching beyond their present limits, their will begins to weaken. Effort is like a muscle. If it is not used, it loses strength. The desire to improve, to overcome difficulty, and to reach higher standards requires practice. Stability can be useful. It can provide rest, recovery, and structure. It can create a foundation on which growth becomes possible. But when stability turns into an excuse to stop expanding, it begins to work against you. What once protected you now limits you. What once supported you now confines you. Comfort slowly replaces challenge, and without challenge, development slows. Even political thought reflects this same truth. In The Prince, Niccolò Machiavelli explains that power is never permanently secured. It must be maintained through vigilance and constant awareness. A ruler who relaxes too much, who assumes that loyalty and control will continue without effort, creates space for rivals. Authority requires preparation, attention, and readiness to respond to threats. Stability without alertness leads to weakness because others are always watching for opportunities. Nietzsche takes this external principle and applies it internally. Instead of speaking about rulers and kingdoms, he speaks about the self. If you relax your personal standards because life feels secure, your strength declines. If you stop demanding discipline from yourself because there is no immediate threat, your capacity shrinks. The same rule that governs political power also governs personal growth. Without vigilance, decline begins quietly. Without effort, strength fades. Security can support growth, but only if you continue to push beyond it. Modern research on resilience also supports this pattern. Psychologists have found that individuals who face manageable levels of difficulty often develop stronger coping skills than those who avoid all forms of stress. When challenges are present but not overwhelming, people learn how to respond, adjust, and recover. they build confidence through experience. Each obstacle overcome becomes proof that they can handle pressure. Over time, this creates emotional strength and practical skill. By contrast, when people are consistently shielded from challenge, their tolerance for pressure can decrease. If discomfort is always removed quickly, there is little opportunity to practice endurance. Small problems can begin to feel large. Minor setbacks can seem discouraging. Reduced tolerance often leads to avoidance. People start organizing their lives around staying comfortable. They decline opportunities that seem uncertain. They delay tasks that feel demanding. Avoidance reduces growth because growth requires engagement with difficulty. The less resistance a person faces, the less strength they develop. Friedrich Nietzsche believed that strength increases when resistance is overcome. For him, resistance was not something to eliminate, but something to confront. It is through struggle that capacity expands. Muscles grow by working against weight. Skills improve by practicing what is difficult. Character deepens when a person chooses effort over ease. Without resistance, there is no increase. Without pressure, there is no expansion of ability. In The Gay Science, he speaks about loving one's fate. This idea does not mean enjoying pain for its own sake, or seeking suffering unnecessarily. It means accepting difficulty as part of life and recognizing its role in development. To love one's fate is to stop wishing for a frictionless path, and instead understand that obstacles are part of becoming stronger. Growth demands effort. Effort demands friction. Remove friction, and progress slows. Keep friction within limits, and it becomes the force that shapes resilience and strength. Friedrich Nietzsche also criticizes what he calls herd morality in On the Genealogy of Morality. By herd, he refers to the mindset that prioritizes safety, agreement, and social approval above all else. The herd values stability because stability keeps conflict low. It values sameness because sameness reduces tension. When everyone thinks and acts in similar ways, life feels predictable and orderly. This mindset discourages risk because risk can disturb that order. New ideas challenge accepted norms. Ambitious goals create visible differences between people. Strong individuality can make others uncomfortable. For the herd, it is easier to encourage modest expectations and safe behavior than to tolerate bold attempts that might fail. Comfort becomes a shared standard. Safety becomes a moral good. But order without growth produces mediocrity. When the main goal is to avoid disruption, excellence becomes rare. Standards slowly adjust downward so that no one feels pressured to rise too high. Over time, the desire to protect stability can weaken the drive to improve. Life becomes smooth, but also flat, predictable, but limited. Nietzsche contrasts this with what he sees as the higher individual. The exceptional person does not worship comfort. He does not reject stability entirely, but he refuses to treat it as the highest aim. He uses stability as a base, not as a ceiling. A secure foundation can support greater effort, but it should not mark the limit of ambition. The higher individual seeks controlled difficulty. He does not chase chaos for its own sake, but he deliberately sets demanding goals that stretch his ability. He accepts tension as part of expansion. Pressure is not seen as a threat to be eliminated, but as a signal that growth is taking place. He understands that ambition must be actively maintained. If ambition fades, decline begins not with noise or sudden collapse, but quietly. Standards soften, effort decreases, potential narrows. The change is gradual, almost invisible at first, yet steady. For Nietzsche, the task is to resist that quiet decline by continually choosing challenge over comfort and growth over mere stability. Now pause. Where in your life have you become too comfortable? Where has stability reduced your effort? Are you growing, or are you maintaining? Be honest. Nietzsche's warning is precise. Comfort feels harmless, but long periods of comfort reduce urgency. Reduced urgency weakens ambition. Weakened ambition lowers standards. Lower standards lead to stagnation. The last man does not collapse. He settles, and settling is the beginning of decline. Most people aim for comfort, Few aim for growth beyond comfort. Stability is not the enemy, but worshipping stability is. If your stability strengthens you, keep it. If it softens you, question it. Subscribe to Purely Noetical if you are serious about understanding power at the psychological level. This channel is not built for temporary inspiration. It is a growing archive of strategic thinking. Each lesson builds on the previous one. Each concept strengthens the next. Power compounds. So does stagnation. Stay, study, apply, and choose growth over comfort.